Is this thing on? It is. All right, I'm DaRock, and welcome back to Layup Lines, the college basketball preview and projections podcast here. And we have another great weekend of college hoops. You love college hoops this Valentine's Day weekend? This is the weekend for you. A lot of good games here starting Friday night into Saturday, as well as then some good games on Sunday. First Sunday here without football. So a lot of good games this weekend. Make sure to drop your picks for these games and whichever ones you'll be watching in the comments here. While you're down there, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's get into it. So we're going to start here once again with some bracketology talk. About a month here till Selection Sunday, 4 weeks here from Sunday. So looking at it here, last four in, Joe Lenardi has Texas, USC, San Diego State, and Missouri. Missouri picked up that nice win over Texas A&M. First four out, TCU, Virginia Tech, Ohio State, and New Mexico. See, that's a little goofy to me as Ohio State literally just beat USC. Like, that was a bubble game. But the Buckeyes got the win there. But then TCU, Virginia Tech, New Mexico also all picked up really nice wins over the week here. So then just kind of looking at the bracket here as a whole, and like I said, it is Valentine's Day weekend. I am recording late here. Usually I record this Thursday night. I'm not recording until Friday morning. My dad suggested this to me, Draw on Spotify. A team I love and a team that I think could be heartbroken. So just kind of looking at the bracket here, I'm going to look at a team here that I think could potentially be heartbroken, get upset in one of these early games here. And then, a team that I love to maybe go on a bit of a run, maybe surprise people. And for me, I'm kind of looking here some of these games for a team that I think could get heartbroken. We're looking at maybe Virginia or St. John's. Liberty and Belmont are two teams that I'm really liking here that could go on a run. So you're seeing here both those teams in the 5-12 matchup against those two squads. And Liberty, they still are undefeated here in CUSA play. Kind of talked about that a little bit during the week after they won on a buzzer beater. Zach Cleveland is their leader. He's just outstanding, really fun player to watch. And then Belmont, on the other hand, they actually did lose to the Bradley Braves during the week here, but looking to bounce back. Still the favorites here in the MVC. If they go on a run, that wouldn't surprise me. I think they're a really talented team. Missouri Valley teams have a tendency to win games in March. I mean, look at Drake last year, one of the few double-digit seeds that actually won. And then maybe one more team that I'm in love with to potentially, pull off an upset. Santa Clara, if I see here against North Carolina, who now is going to be without Caleb Wilson for a little bit of time. So depending on, how things go for him, Santa Clara is another team that I could see pulling off an upset. Team that, I like to maybe go on a run. I guess I kind of combined them here a little bit, but teams that I kind of like their draw, maybe Louisville here against South Florida, and then Alabama. That's a team, maybe you could see. Granted, then they would get Michigan, which would be a tough game. But looking at that, and then St. Louis too. Honestly, I really like their draw there against Georgia, where I think they could win that game. And then Purdue in the second weekend. We've kind of talked about a little bit on Carter Cast that Purdue's a team could be destined to get upset. So that's a path there I like. And then I guess another 5 seed, maybe Arkansas as well. SF Austin is a pretty tough team there in the Southland. That wouldn't be an easy contest, but Gonzaga is not a team I'm super high on right now. So for that reason, I'd probably like Arkansas, and then maybe one more. Which granted, maybe then this could more put Tennessee and Michigan State in the heartbreakers. Miami, Ohio, there's an 11 against those two squads. I think that maybe we'll see. Again, who knows how legit Miami, Ohio actually is? They haven't really had the toughest schedule, but final remaining undefeated team here. So that's kind of what I'm liking here for heartbreak and teams I love kind of here going into March. Like I said, about a month away here. So now let's transition. Let's get into some games. We're going to start here Friday night at 8 Eastern time on Fox. The 10th ranked Michigan State Spartans, who I just talked about, maybe could be destined for a first round or second round upset. 20-4 on the year, head to the Wisconsin Badgers, 17-7 like I mentioned. This one's at 8 Eastern time on Fox. So Michigan State didn't play this week. Their last game was that win against Illinois a week ago. So really nice result there for Michigan State. And then Wisconsin also beat Illinois in their last game. So these two teams beating the Fighting Illini in their last contest. However, Wisconsin played them during the week. So not as much rest here for the Badgers. The leaders for this team, Jeremy Fears leading scorer with 15 points and 9 assists. And then Jackson Kohler, the leading rebounder with 9. For Wisconsin, it's Nick Boyd scoring 20 points per game with 3 assists. He had an insane game. Him and John Blackwell both in that win against Illinois. And then Nolan Winter, their leading rebounder for the Badgers with 9 rebounds. So looking here, Wisconsin 17th in offensive efficiency, 47 defense. Michigan State 39th offense, 7th defense. Michigan State shoots 49% from the field and 36% from 3 to Wisconsin's 47% from the field, 36% from 3. Wisconsin's the quicker team here. They're 125th in pace to Michigan's 245th. So looking at the projection here, has a close one. Has Michigan State winning this game by 1 point. And I think it is really going to be a fun, game here with the guards. Fears going against Boyd and Blackwell, like I just mentioned, where that's kind of, like I said, Michigan State's going to look to slow this game down. They are the better defensive team. So if they can kind of take away those guards, make some other guys beat them, I think Michigan State has the advantage with the bigs, with guys like Jackson Kohler, Carson Cooper, even, if you consider Cohen Carr a big. So for that reason, I do like Michigan State. It is tough to win there in Madison. However, that is kind of one of Wisconsin's recent losses here, is losing at home to USC, and Michigan State, a lot better team than USC. So for that reason, I am going to go with with the Spartans to get the win on the road here. Then moving on to Saturday, we start at noon Eastern time with the 20th ranked Clemson Tigers, 20-5 on the year, head to the 4th ranked Duke Blue Devils. This one's, like I said, at noon Eastern time on ESPN. So Clemson, they're coming off a tough loss to Va Tech during the week, got upset at home. This is one where it was supposed to be like a battle for first place here in the ACC, but doesn't end up being the case because of that result. On the Duke side, after losing at Carolina last weekend, they now return home. They beat Pitt during the week as well, so back in the win column. Like I said, 11-1 here in the ACC first place. Clemson 10-2 right behind them. So for Clemson, led by RJ Godfrey, scoring 11 points per game. Carter Welling with 5 rebounds, and Dylan Hunter with 3 assists. On the Duke side, still Cam Boozer, 23 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists. Looking here, efficiency-wise, Duke is the 9th best offense and 4th defense. Clemson's 68th offense, 20th defense. Clemson shoots 47% from the floor, 36% from 3. So 45% from the mid-range, which is 19th best in the country. Duke shoots 51% from the floor, which is 5th best in the country. 34% from 3, 47% from the mid-range, which is 4th best in the country. So Duke the better shooting team as well. Both these teams play pretty slow. Duke 263rd pace to Clemson's 339th. Looking here at the projections, does have Duke winning by double digits. The spread is 12, which I think is a little high. I think this Clemson team is good. I think is going to put up a fight. And really, Duke, I feel like, hasn't blown out anyone recently. I mean, I guess Louisville. But even the Boston College game, they won by double digits, but it kind of felt close. And Clemson's a lot better team than Boston College. I mean, it didn't feel close, but Duke didn't just absolutely dominate them. They kind of let BC hang around in the second half. So for that reason, I could see maybe Clemson sticking around a little bit, making this a closer game. But Duke's just the better team. Like I said, I think they're going to end up kind of now running away with the ACC. Clemson kind of fumbled their chance losing to Virginia Tech here during the week. So give me the Blue Devils, get the win here at home. Then moving on to the Big East at 1 Eastern time on TNT, the St. John's Red Storm, 17th ranked team in the country, 19-5 on the year, head to the Providence Friars, who are 11-14, 4-10 in the Big East. But Providence did hand St. John's their one loss here in Big East play. That's why I wanted to feature this one. But St. John's red hot here. They haven't lost since that game in early January. They get the win at home against UConn last week. And then on Monday as well, a tight game, Patino Bowl round 2, but end up knocking off Xavier as well. Providence had 1-2 straight before losing at Seton Hall here during the week. So like I said, 4-10 in the Big East. This has been a very tough season for the Friars, but big contest here. Zuby Ejiofor, leader for St. John's, 16 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. On the Providence side, Josiah Sellers, leading scorer with 17. Leading rebounder is Aruma Wundu with 8, and then Stephen Vox, leading assist man, with 3. St. John's, the 38th offense efficiency, 15th defense to Providence's 33rd offense, 174th defense. Providence shoots 48% from the floor, 36% from 3, to St. John's 47% from the floor and 35% from 3. Both these teams like to play fast here, as Providence is 9th in the country in pace and St. John's is 62nd. And that's why you see in the projection here, 86-80, pretty high scoring game. Close one, a 6-point game is what it's projected to be here. And like I mentioned, Providence has already beaten St. John's this year at the Garden. So now this one at the Dunk, never an easy place to play. But the way St. John's is rolling, I don't see it happening here. I like the Red Storm to continue their winning ways. Like I said, I think Ejiofor is just going to be the best player on the court. If St. John's can keep kind of playing these dog fights, like muck it up games, which against a team like Providence, I think they can. Granted, these two teams do both like to play fast, but maybe look for St. John's to slow it down a little bit. At least, try to work it into Ejiofor more, and I think you can have a big one in this one. So give me St. John's to get the win here. Then moving on to the Big 12, also at 1 Eastern time on ABC, the 9th-ranked Kansas Jayhawks, fresh off their win against the number 1 Arizona Wildcats, now head to Ames, take on the 5th-ranked Iowa State Cyclones. Top 5 contest here. This really should be a good one. So Kansas led by Flory Badunga, scoring 14 points per game, 9 rebounds, and then Melvin Council with 5 assists. Those two guys have played really well recently. Iowa State, Milan Momcilovic leading scorer with 18, Joshua Jefferson leading rebounder with 7, and then Taman Lipsey leading assist man with 5. That's their big 3 there for Iowa State. So like I mentioned, Kansas red hot here. They keep rolling. Knock off number 1 Arizona at home during the week, 82-78. However, Iowa State is on the other side of the spectrum here, coming off loss to TCU 62-55 at home, getting upset. They're now 3rd loss in Big 12 play. Iowa State's already lost to Kansas this year as well, where the Jayhawks just dominated, won by 20 at Allen Fieldhouse. But yeah, now this one, return trip to Hilton Coliseum here. So Iowa State, 25th offense efficiency, 6th best defense. Kansas, 43rd offense, 9th defense. Kansas shoots 49% from the floor, 36% from 3 to Iowa State's 50% from the floor and 38% from 3, which both those ranks for Iowa State are 15th best in the country. Both these teams pretty even in pace in the 160s respectively. Looking at the projection here, this is supposed to be a close one, which, like I said, the first time Kansas blew them out, and now they return here to Hilton. But I don't know, these are two teams, like I said, kind of opposite directions, where I think it could kind of flip here, where Hilton's a really tough place to play, similar to Allen Fieldhouse. Not that I think Kansas is going to get blown out by any means, but I could see this being a game where like Momcilovic just like goes nuclear, like can't miss. Joshua Jefferson maybe could have a big one. It's going to kind of be, can Iowa State slow down Flory Badunga? I mean, obviously there's Darren Peterson. Who knows if he's really even going to play? That was a whole thing. I mean, I already talked about that in the recap show. So I'm not really counting on him. It's really just more like Badunga and Council, who, like I mentioned, have really stepped up for Kansas. But I don't know. Just I kind of like Iowa State's guys a little bit better here. And with this one being in Hilton, give me the Cyclones to get the win. Then moving on to the SEC. This one's the next one on ABC at 3 Eastern time. The Kentucky Wildcats, 17-7 on the year, 8-3 in SEC play, head to the Florida Gators, 18-6, 9-2 in the SEC. Another ranked matchup here, 25th Kentucky, 14th Florida. So both these teams with wins over the weekend and during the week here. Florida's won 4 straight. They beat Georgia once again, sweeping the season series against them, winning by 20 in Athens. And then Kentucky, they've been off since last Saturday, where they once again came from behind against Tennessee, the second straight win there for the Wildcats. Kentucky's led by Otega Oweh, scoring 17 points per game. Malachi Moreno with 6 rebounds, and Denzel Aberdeen with 3 assists. On Florida, it's Thomas Haw scoring 17 a game, 11, nearly 12 rebounds a game from Roman Chimulu, and then Boogie Flynn with nearly 4 assists. So looking here, Florida 14th offense efficiency, 5th in defense. Kentucky 42nd offense, 26th defense. Kentucky shoots 35% from 3, 48% from the floor. Florida shoots 48% from the floor as well, but 30% from 3. Florida, quicker team here. They're 70th in pace to Kentucky's 160th. And that's just where I think this could kind of be. The difference in this one is like Florida, again, very rare for Kentucky, but Florida like has the more athletic, the quicker players. I have constantly been like picking against Kentucky. I finally came around, was in the right, decided to pick them against Tennessee last week since they had already beaten Tennessee. Finally got that one right, but I don't know. Florida's like playing really well. Like I said, they've won 4 straight games. I feel like it's finally clicking. Even like Xavier Lee was their leading scorer in that Georgia game, so like him and Fland have been playing well as of late as well. So for that reason, I do just like Florida's guys a little bit more, plus this one being in Gainesville. So give me the Gators to get the win here at home. Then next, back to the ACC at 5 Eastern time, we have the 4 Eastern time, the Miami Hurricanes, 19-5 on the year, head to the NC State Wolfpack, who are 18-7, 9-3 in ACC play. Miami's 8-3 in ACC play. So these are two of those kind of next tier teams here in the ACC. Right behind Duke, Virginia, and Clemson. So this is a big one for both sides. So Miami, 1-2 straight, fresh off that upset of North Carolina here during the week, where Trey Donaldson had a really big game in that one, where it was kind of like a letdown spot for Carolina that you saw coming, but Still, they take care of business. NC State on the other side, coming off a blowout, losing 118-77 at Louisville. Michael Brown went for 45, and then Isaac McNeely had 30. So, like, to have two guys scoring 30-plus points, giving that up, not a good look there for the Wolfpack. So, Miami's led by Malik Renew scoring 18 points per game. Uday Jr., their leading rebounder, with 9, and then Trey Allenson leading assist man with 6. On the NC State side, Darion Williams leading scorer with 14. Van Allen Lubin leading rebounder with 7, and Quadir Copeland leading assist man with nearly 7 assists as well. Miami, 52nd offense efficiency, 54th defense. NC State, 28th offense, 44th defense. NC State shoots 48% from the floor, 40% from 3, which is 6th best in the country. However, Miami, 51% from the floor, which is 7th best in the country, and 34% from 3. Both these teams pretty quick here. NC State definitely the quicker one, though. They're 64th in pace to Miami's 123rd. So looking at projections here, NC State is projected to win this one by 7. I think it's going to be closer than that. I think these are two teams that are both very talented. Like, I think having Malik Renew, and then if he goes against either Darion Williams or Van Allen Lubin, like, that's going to be a really fun matchup to watch there. See how he handles that. The Indiana transfer has been playing really well for the Hurricanes this year. And then having those two guards in Quadir Copeland and Trey Donaldson face off too, I think is going to be a lot of fun. I think this could be a high-scoring one. Like, both these teams, as you're seeing there, like, shoot the ball at pretty high percentages. But with it being at NC State, and now it's kind of almost a letdown spot for Miami coming off that big win where NC State's kind of been stewing on that loss since Monday. I like the Wolfpack to get the win here at home. Then we go back to the Big Ten at 5 Eastern time. The Purdue Boilermakers, 13th ranked team in the country, 20-4 on the year, 10-3 in Big Ten play, head the Iowa Hawkeyes, who are 18-6, 8-5 here in the Big Ten. This is another one where the team's coming off opposite results. Purdue was up big on Nebraska, almost blew it, but they ended up holding on, beating Cornhuskers 80-77 in overtime, where Iowa, maybe kind of a look-ahead spot for them. Really bad loss that they're coming off of losing at Maryland 77-70, despite Bennett Sturts going for 30 points in that one. The Hawkeyes still suffer the loss there. So Purdue, they're led by Braden Smith, scoring 15 points per game, nearly 9 assists, and then Trey Kaufman-Renn, leading rebounder with nearly 9 as well. For Iowa, Bennett Sturts, leading scorer, 20 points per game, and nearly 5 assists, and then Tavion Banks, leading rebounder with 4 rebounds per game. Purdue, third in offense efficiency, 23rd defense to Iowa's 18th offense, 29th defense. Iowa shoots 51% from the field, which is 8th best in the country, and 37% from 3. Purdue, however, third best percent in the country here, 52% from the floor, 38% from 3, which is 16th best. So both these teams like really can light it up, and they also both like to play slow. They're both in the 290s or higher, or 350s for pace, respectively. So both these teams like to play pretty slow. It's projected to be a close one here, 1-point game, which I could see. Iowa played Purdue really tough at Mackey the first time around when these two teams met, where Iowa at times I kind of thought was going to pull that game out. It was really back and forth. Bennett Sturts, that was another game where he was just kind of unconscious, was scoring at will, just like Braden Smith can as well for this Purdue team. But that's where, I don't know, I kind of, at times now I'm a little down on Iowa, where it really just does seem to be, it's can Sturts, score 30 plus and then carry him to the win, and then everyone else just really doesn't do a whole lot, and that's kind of why they lost to Maryland. Purdue, much more talented team, and I know, this one being in Carver Hawkeye, I even said on CarterCast, it wouldn't have surprised me if Purdue lost this game, which I don't know, maybe could be a letdown spot after the win against Nebraska, but I do just think Purdue's the better team here. I think Iowa's just relying too heavily on Sturts right now, so for that reason, give me the Boilermakers to go on the road, get the upset here. Then next, back to the Big 12 at 6:30 Eastern Time on ESPN. The 16th ranked Texas Tech Red Raiders, 18-6 on the year, 8-3 in the Big 12, head to the number 1 Arizona Wildcats, who are now 23-1 and 10-1 in the Big 12. So like I talked about earlier, Arizona, fresh off their first loss of the year at Kansas on Big Monday. Close one, just couldn't pull it out. Where Texas Tech, on the other hand, also lost to Kansas on Big Monday, two Mondays ago now, but 2 wins here since then, winning at West Virginia last week and then just blowing out Colorado here during the week. So Texas Tech led by JT Toppin, 21 points, nearly 11 rebounds, and Christian Anderson, 7 assists. On the Arizona side, it's Braden Berries with 15 points, Tobey Awaka with 9 rebounds, and then Jaden Bradley with 4 assists. Texas Tech, 15th offense efficiency, 28th defense, to Arizona's 12th offense and second-ranked defense. Arizona shoots 51% from the floor, which is sixth best in the country, and then 35% from three. It's Texas Tech's 49% from the floor, and then 41% from three, which is third best here in the country. Arizona, much quicker team here. They're 20th in pace to Texas, 170-7th. So they're definitely going to try to speed this one up here. Playing at home now, coming off this loss, which, like I said, they've kind of same thing, been stewing on it all week. Very ready to get back here in the win column. These are two really talented teams. I think this should be a fun one. The projection has Arizona winning by 10. I think it'll be closer than that. I think Texas Tech's too talented to get blown out with their guys like Toppin and Anderson, but I could see Burries and Jaden Bradley having a really big game here, as well as, not even mention Koa Pete Grant. He hasn't done as much lately, I feel like, with his big first game of the season. Everyone kind of talks about him, but I don't know. If he's able to kind of play even to Toppin or kind of, negate Toppin, then I think that is definitely advantage Arizona. I think they do have the slightly better guards. I mean, Christian Anderson, very good guard for Texas Tech, but these two guys in Arizona, I think, just as a duo are probably a better tandem there. So for that reason, give me Arizona to get back in the win column against Texas Tech here. I'm going to go by 6 or 8 rather than 10. Then moving on, we got a non-conference contest. This one should be fun at 8 Eastern time on Fox. The 15th ranked Virginia Cavaliers, 21-3 on the year, head to the 16-8 Ohio State Buckeyes. Like I said, this one's at 8 Eastern time on Fox in Nashville here on Saturday night. So Virginia coming off a win at Florida State during the week, came from behind, was a really close one. Really could have gone either way. At times really looked like Florida State was bound to pull the upset, but the Cavaliers come back, get the win. Ohio State, like I talked about to start the show, nice win at home against USC here during the week following their loss at home to Michigan last Sunday, where they got blown out. On the Virginia side, Tice DeRitter, leading scorer with 16 points and 6 rebounds, and then Dallin Hall, leading assist man with 4. For Ohio State, Bruce Thornton, leading scorer and assist man with 19 points, nearly 4 assists, and then Devin Royal, their leading rebounder, with 5. Virginia, 29th in offense efficiency, 12th defense to Ohio State's 16th offense and 71st defense. The Buckeyes shoot 49% from the floor, 35% from 3 to Virginia's 47% from the floor, and 35% from 3. Both these teams pretty slow. Ohio State 244th in pace to Virginia's 315th. So this one projected to be a 4-point game. It is a fun one, with it being a non-conf or being a neutral site contest in Nashville. I'm kind of interested to see what the split will be fans-wise. I mean, both these teams are pretty even distance from Nashville. I would say Virginia's definitely more of a basketball fan base than Ohio State, but it'll be interesting to see how they travel. And this is one, it's going to be, can Bruce Thornton take this game over for Ohio State, or will guys like Hall and Ritter really step up here for Virginia? That's the thing with Virginia, is they've had a lot of different guys that have really just got it done for them recently, where I think they're the deeper team than Ohio State. And in a game like this, I think that could be the difference, especially, a game where these two teams aren't really as familiar, where it's like, hey, maybe we take away the top guys, but if, some of these secondary guys for Virginia really step up, I can see the Cavaliers getting the win in this one. So give me Virginia to get the win here. Then we'll finish up here Saturday with our 2 mid-major games to watch. First, in the Mountain West at 10 Eastern time on CBS Sports Network, we have the 17-7 Nevada Wolfpack, 9-4 in the Mountain West, head to the 17-6 San Diego State Aztecs, who are 11-2 in the Mountain West. So these are some of the top teams here in the league. San Diego State half game out of first, and Nevada 2.5 games, so not far behind. Really could use a win here. San Diego State did win the first meeting between these two teams back on January in Nevada, so now they look for the sweep here at home. Nevada's coming off a win here by 10 points at home to Fresno State during the week, so now heading on the road, and then San Diego State coming back home. They've won 2 straight after their loss at Utah State a couple weeks ago, but blowout Air Force, who's just not a very good team here during the week. So for Nevada, their leader, Camper with 17 points, Price with 8 rebounds, and Comer with 4 assists. On the San Diego State side, Reese Dixon Waters, 12 points. Miles Heide with 5 rebounds, and then Miles Bird with 2 assists. Looking here, Nevada's 58th in offense efficiency, 66th defense to San Diego State's 83rd offense, 13th defense. The Aztecs shoot 48% from the floor, 36% from 3, to Nevada shooting 45% from the floor, 39% from 3, which is the 9th best in the country. San Diego State, a lot quicker team here, 107th in pace to Nevada's 64th. And that's really going to be kind of the difference in this game. Can they speed it up, really, push the ball here on Nevada? They're projected to win by 6. Like I said, they already won the first game at Nevada. It's really just going to be, can they kind of take away Nevada's ability to shoot the three? Like I said, really, really good three-point shooting team there. Or maybe, some of these guys like Bird or Dixon Waters get hot for the Aztecs and kind of, even that out. And like I said, they've already beaten Nevada this year, so I do like San Diego State to get the win here at home. Then the final one on Saturday at 10:30 Eastern Time on ESPN, the Gonzaga Bulldogs, 12th ranked team in the country, 24-2 on the year, 12-1 in the WCC, head to the Santa Clara Broncos, who are 22-5, 13-1 in the WCC. This is the game for first place here in the league, as Santa Clara is 13-1, like I just said, half game up on Gonzaga. Granted, Gonzaga did win the first contest between these two teams in Spokane, but now they head to the Bay. Probably the biggest game in Santa Clara that we've had here all month. So Santa Clara coming off, they haven't lost since that Gonzaga game. They beat Seattle at home 84-72 during the week. Gonzaga absolutely destroyed Washington State 83-53 and beat Oregon State by 20 as well in their previous game before that loss to Portland, or after that loss to Portland that they suffered last week. So for the Bulldogs, their leader Graham Ike with 19 points, 8 rebounds, and Braden Smith leading assist man with 4. On the Santa Clara side, Hammond leading scorer with 16, Graves leading rebounder with 7, and then Essinger leading assist man with 3. So Gonzaga 45th offense efficiency, 10th defense to Santa Clara's 31st offense and 41st defense. So that's the kind of rare thing you're seeing here where statistically the Santa Clara team kind of stacks up with Gonzaga just because Gonzaga really hasn't been tested here in the conference play at all, and just that loss to Portland was just so odd, where Santa Clara, kind of same thing, they've also cruised here through conference play. The Broncos shoot 48% from the floor, 35% from 3 to Gonzaga's 50% from the floor, which is 12th best in the country, and 34% from 3. Both these teams pretty quick. They're in the 60th in the country here in pace. So like I said, this is one, for first place, teams that have already met this year where Gonzaga did win that game. It was a close game, so it wasn't like they blew out Santa Clara by any means, which is why another reason that I am really excited for this one, especially now with it being in Santa Clara, is that I really think the Broncos can stick around here. I think it should be a close one, but if Gonzaga hadn't lost to Portland, I maybe would pick Santa Clara in this one, but I feel like they've already kind of had their WCC slip up that they're maybe prone to yearly, so for that reason, I think Gonzaga is going to be ready for this test. Like I said, they've already beat this team. I think they're going to be able to control the game. I think Graham Ike has a big one in this game, so give me Gonzaga to get the win here. And then the final game, we'll move on here quickly to Sunday. The Indiana Hoosiers, 17-8 on the year, 8-6 in the Big Ten, head to the Illinois Fighting Illini, the 8th ranked team in the country, who is 20-5 on the year, 11-3 in the Big Ten. For Illinois, not so great the last week, losing 2 overtime games at Michigan State last weekend and then at Wisconsin here during the week, where Indiana, after their loss at USC a couple weekends ago, they beat Wisconsin in overtime last Saturday. Maybe a bit of a controversial game there, some controversial calls on the end, and then just blow out Oregon on Monday, 92-74. So Indiana, they're led by Lamar Wilkerson scoring 21 points per game, Tucker DeVries with 5 rebounds, and Connor Enright with nearly 5 assists. For Illinois, Keaton Wagler leading scorer with 18 points, David Mirkovich leading rebound with 8, and then Keaton Wagler also leading assist man with 4. So Illinois is the first offensive efficiency in the country, 17th defense to Indiana's 13th offense, 49th in defense. The Hoosiers shoot 48% from the floor, 36% from 3, to Illinois' 48% from the floor, 37% from 3. Both these teams pretty slow. Indiana 241st in pace, Illinois 314th. So this is going to be a slower game. Projections here do have Illinois winning by 12, scoring 80 points per game, which they are averaging 84 to Indiana's 81. But I don't know. I see this maybe being like a lower scoring game, being played probably in the high 60s, low 70s. Keaton Wagler's still been getting his for Illinois. He's been the bucket getter. So him and Wilkerson going back and forth, I think, is going to be very fun to watch. I think that really should be a good battle. But it's just going to then be kind of how can secondary guys, how can, DeVries step up? How can Mirkovich for Illinois? There's potential Killian Boswell could return in this game. So I think Illinois does just have the slightly better roster. And for that reason, I am going to go with the Fighting Illini to get the win here at home. So I'm just kind of looking here quickly the rest of the games this weekend. Friday night, it's that Wisconsin-Michigan State game. That's probably the best one. But we got those undefeated Miami Redhawks. They're on ESPN Maine this time, 9 Eastern time, taking on Ohio, who's their big rival, projected to win We'll see how that goes. And then UNLV Boise State's a fun Mountain West tip late night, as well as, and then you have Loyola Chicago hosting St. Louis. I mean, Loyola Chicago has been pretty bad this year, but SLU's a lot of fun to watch, so maybe check that one out on 8:30 Eastern Time on ESPN2. Then Saturday, obviously a big slate. TCU Oklahoma State's like a fun bubble game there in the Big 12, where, like I said, TCU fresh off that win against Iowa State, looking to see if they can kind of keep things rolling here, taking on an Oklahoma State squad. Michigan hosts UCLA at 12:45 Eastern Time on CBS. That one could be fun. Texas A&M and Vanderbilt, 1 Eastern Time, SEC Network, should be a good clash as well. Texas A&M kind of going the wrong direction here. See if they can right the ship against Vandy. Won't be an easy test. I like Vandy to probably get the win there. Carolina hosts Pitt, 2 Eastern Time on ESPN. UTEP and Liberty, like I said, Liberty, one of those top teams there in the CUSA. That's at 2 Eastern Time on ESPN2. So like I said, got to shout out these mid-majors who get prime time slots. Villanova at Creighton, 2:30 Eastern Time on Fox. Creighton probably needs to win the Big 12 or Big East tournament to make the dance at this point, but never an easy place to play there. Villanova should be a tough one. Marquette heads to Xavier. Like I said, Marquette has been playing better as of lately. And Trey Carroll, fun to watch for Xavier. Georgia heads to Oklahoma, 3:30 Eastern Time on SEC Network. That one could be a good contest. K-State, who stinks, heads to Houston. Colorado, BYU, 4 Eastern Time on FS1. Kind of a rivalry game there, maybe geographically, but I like the Cougars to get the win there. Stanford heads to Wake, 4 Eastern Time on ACC Network, and a fun ACC, granted, crazy that it's an ACC contest, but here we are. Other than that, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, 6:30 Eastern Time on ESPN2. That was a good match first time around. Harvard, Yale, 6:30 Eastern Time on ESPNU. The game, but the basketball edition. Georgetown heads to UConn at 8 Eastern Time on Peacock. And then, like I said, those kind of late night ones already featured. St. Mary's at Pacific could be a good one, as well as those other Santa Clara, Gonzaga, and Nevada, San Diego State games. Then moving on finally to Sunday, we have Utah, Cincinnati, Maryland, Rutgers. Just a couple Big 12, Big 10 games that could be good. A lot of like close games here projection-wise. Milwaukee and Green Bay. Just watched Green Bay live last night. I've already saw Milwaukee live a couple weeks ago. That could be a fun Horizon League contest. Drake and Northern Iowa. Northern Iowa sneaky, could win the MVC here. That one's at 3 Eastern Time on CBS Sports Network. And then Seton Hall, Butler in a fun, kind of same thing, bubble Big East game here to wrap up on Sunday. Oh, and then got to shout out Murray State, Belmont. That was the other one I was debating, even like featuring. That's going to be a really good MVC class, 6 Eastern Time on ESPN2. Belmont right now favorites to win the league, but Murray State, their rivals, is a scrappy team. That could be a fun one. Like I said, I think Belmont, really any of like Belmont, Northern Iowa, or even Bradley, I think could win the MVC at this point. So anytime you get to watch those teams in action, definitely check them out. But that's going to wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said at the beginning of the video, make sure to comment your picks for these games down below. I'm going to shout some people out. You get some correct picks. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel while you're down there. Like I said, next week is going to be a really big week here. I know even, this video is probably releasing later here in the day on Friday. But like I said, gonna try to start doing this live at least Monday nights. Maybe, who knows, maybe even Thursday nights. And then, I know I'm once again taking in some live hoops. Like I said, was at Green Bay and Purdue Fort Wayne last night, going to Illinois State and Bradley next weekend. That should be a really fun one. So yeah, really tuning up here for March. So if you're a college basketball fan where you don't watch till March, you've been watching here all season, this is the place for you. So definitely make sure to keep subscribing to the channel, liking the videos. Really appreciate all your guys' support, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.